everyone, it's Hailey, and today is Bookmas Day 14, so we're going to be talking about my favorite audiobooks that I listened to in 2018. Today is also the day of my 24-hour Christmas-themed readathon, so when this video is going up, I should be reading a lot, just getting all of the reading done, and you will see the vlog for that tomorrow. But for now, we are going to be talking about some awesome audiobooks that I listened to. So 2018, as you know, if you watch a lot of my videos, has been the year of the audiobooks. Audiobooks have been just saving my life. I wouldn't have read hardly anything if it weren't for audiobooks, because I have been so busy this past year with writing, with everything, that by the time I go to bed, I don't want to open up a book and actually physically read because I'm so tired I will fall asleep. I want to just be able to still read and listen to a book while I'm doing other things and getting all of my other stuff done. So I have listened to a ton of audiobooks and it has been amazing. It has really helped me be able to still get books off of my TBR when I'm so busy. So I just love audiobooks. I think they are absolutely fabulous, and I listened to some really awesome ones this year. By the way, I'll get it out of the way now, but if you were looking for an audiobook service, I like to use multiple, but I use Audible as one of them, and I have a link down below that you can go and click, and with that you can get 2 free audiobooks when you sign up for a free trial. So you can try 2 of these out, or you can try whatever ones you want to. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about all of these because I have mentioned them in other Bookmas videos, and that's kind of the thing with Bookmas, since I am talking about only like the 70 or so books that I've read in a year, I do end up repeating some books, so that is why I'm not really going to go super in depth on like synopsis or anything like that. I'm just gonna kind of tell you my list and stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna start off with a kind of honorable mention, and that goes to the Books of Bayern series by Shannon Hale. These are amazing audiobooks. They have a full cast and it just really brings you into the story and brings it to life, which is what I look for when I'm listening to an audiobook, and this definitely achieves that. But I did listen to the majority of them in 2017, but I did listen to one of them in 2018, so I still wanted to include it in this video. Next is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I listened to this because I knew it was going to feature some phrases and names that I would struggle to pronounce, so it was really helpful for me to listen to the story and not be stumbling over those words, which would have made my reading experience a lot longer. So now that I've listened to the audiobook, I think I might actually physically read it as well, because I'm very interested to see how I would like it differently if I did that. That made no sense and that was a terrible sentence, but I feel like you get what I mean. Like, I really enjoyed the audiobook obviously, but I'm also intrigued by physically reading it. But the audiobook does do a great job of bringing the characters and the story to life, so I recommend that you check it out. Next is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Like I mentioned, I was at the end of this audiobook and I was just sitting there sobbing because it really brought me into the story, which I'm going to say about all of these audiobooks because that's what I'm looking for. I want an audiobook to bring the story to life and bring me into it, and this one definitely did that. The characters just, it was like they were real people and they were telling me their story, so it was just a really wild experience that impacted me a lot. I was a sobbing mess. Next is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. This was just a really fun audiobook. It was a really interesting one too, because there were some steamy parts that I was like, I feel weird listening to this. Like, Sarah J Maas books on audiobook are really weird because of the steamy parts, but that's just me. But I did still find that I had a lot of fun listening to this story, and it was a really engaging audiobook and the narrator did a great job with it. Next is The Lady Elizabeth by Alison Weir. This was a great audiobook because it felt like Queen Elizabeth I was like telling her actual history. So it is a fictionalization of the life of Queen Elizabeth I, but it still just felt like it was like a memoir and she was really telling you the things that happened to her. So I liked the fact that it read more like a history than a historical fiction. Next is Sadie by Courtney Summers. This is one of 2 on this list that I would recommend actually listening to the audiobook over physically reading it, like for sure, because this story is told in such an interesting format. It's like a podcast. So when you're listening to it, you actually get the podcast and you get the story as it was kind of written, if that makes sense. I just felt like I enjoyed my experience more listening to it than I would have physically reading it because of that format that it was told in. So it really brought the story to life, I'm gonna say once again, but it honestly really did, because the form of the story really lended itself well to the function of an audiobook. So I don't know, I just thought it was great. The other one that I'd recommend on audio is Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is the finale to the Illuminae series, and I've listened to all of those books on audio, and since it's all also a very visual story. The way that I do it is I listen and I follow along in the book as well. So it really brings the reading experience to life, and it is a listening reading experience unlike anything I've ever had before. So if you had been thinking about trying these books but you were intimidated by the format, I recommend that you try the audiobook but like follow along physically in the book as well, because then you get the best of both worlds, because this is another one where the form of the story does really work for an audiobook. It really is kind of like you're reading a movie or a really like epic sci-fi TV show or whatever. It just works very well when you listen to the audio but also follow along with the visual aspects of the story. Next is Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. I thought this was a very entertaining audiobook. I think if you had been skeptical about it, that you should give the audiobook a shot, because the audiobook was super fun. It had a full cast, which automatically if it has a full cast, I'm like, yes, please. And since it did have so many characters, and sci-fi is very hit or miss for me, I'm really glad I went the audiobook route with it, because I did end up discovering that it was an entertaining and enjoyable story, even though it does have very polarizing opinions. I think that if you like sci-fi and you're looking to be entertained, that the audiobook is really great. Next is another sci-fi, because I just apparently like to go the sci-fi route with audiobooks. So that is The Thousandth Floor by Katherine McGee. This is once again one that has a lot of characters, and this felt a lot like I was watching Gossip Girl but in the future, which is what this book was described as, and listening to the audiobook, I really got that. Like, it came through a lot. But I like the fact that the audiobook made me feel like I was getting to know each of the individual characters very well, and I knew which perspective I was in, which made for a very enjoyable experience. And finally, we have Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Maniscalco. I love the Stalking Jack the Ripper series in audio. I think they're so awesome. I get to really experience the mind of Audrey and Thomas Cresswell and all of that stuff. It's just, they're really great audiobooks, so I recommend them as well. And it's so hard to describe why I like audiobooks, so I'm sorry that this video is the worst. But I promise you, if you check out any of these audiobooks, you will enjoy them. I really liked them. They were the cream of the crop of the many audiobooks that I listened to this year, and I'm hoping in 2019 I won't listen to as many, but I probably will. I would like to get back to like physically reading. It's just, audiobooks are so much easier. Someone's reading to me all the time. Like, how beautiful is that? Plus I can actually listen to an audiobook at work, so like it's amazing. But don't forget to click that subscribe button and click that bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post. I'm putting up a new video every single day right up until Christmas. You can also follow me on all of my social media. All of my handles and links and all of that jazz will be down below for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, today is the day of the 24-hour readathon, so I will see you tomorrow for Bookmas Day 15, where you will be seeing the vlog for my 24-hour readathon. Bye!